Nerds International proudly presents
You're listening to the Wild Die Podcast. You're listening to the Wild Die Podcast. You're listening to the Wild Die Podcast. You're listening to the Wild Die Podcast.
Listen to the Wild Die Podcast. Listen to the Wild Die Podcast. Listen to the Wild Die Podcast. Listen to the Wild Die Podcast.
So welcome to the Wild Eye Podcast, episode 88 with a beer.
Sorry, I wasn't quite ready just yet.
So welcome to the Wild Eye Podcast, episode 88. My name is Eric Lamoureux, aka No Sleeves McGee, and here are my co-hosts, Gary McCallum and Harrison Hunt. What's up, guys?
Hello, everyone.
Yes, you know what's up. I showed you earlier before we were in the green room there.
Traumatized. So, if you're joining us for the first time, well, we're a Savage Worlds podcast going on. Well, this is our 5th year, actually. We have a backlog of about, 133 episodes, but the first 12 episodes were under different ownership. So it'd be 2 different guys that you'll listen to if you start with episode 0 all the way to 12. At which point, episode 13, us 3 took over. There's been other co-hosts with us, Nick Lambley at first, and then Manuel Sams and Paris Conte, but we're back to just the 3 of us. We release a minimum of 2 episodes a month, and in our catalog, you'll find a mix of roundtable discussions, reviews, and actual plays / radio dramas. Speaking of which, we haven't done any in a while, so maybe at some point we'll get back to that, but it's a lot of work, so give us a break.
It's time for some fresh. Yeah. So it's cool. So if you've been listening to the previous 120 episodes, we're glad that we finally explained what happened in the first 13.
Yeah.
It's a bonus, though, if you really, really hated Jamie and Blaine. They were only in it for a short amount of time, so it's
true. I mean, we've been meaning to...
And then if you don't like us, then you're sort of stuck with us, so...
Yeah, we've been meaning to record a new episode 0 or add onto it to explain that to people, but... You don't pay us
enough to record an episode 0.
So in this episode, we'll continue the world building exercise that we started in the previous episode. But before we get into that, let's talk about a little bit what we've been up to since the last episode. So last weekend was Halloween weekend. And I got these 2 guys plus 2 other friends got together to play some Accursed. This was the Dark Queen's Gambit adventure. And then I used the pre-gens from the Jumpstart, the Suede Jumpstart, to run this. We played that over Fantasy Grounds. And we had a good time. It was, I think, the first Halloween game I've run in years. And in particular, there was this scene where there's this terrified girl that's hiding in a cupboard, and the other guys, while the rest of the party are trying to comfort her. But first, to me, that one of the funniest bits was when Gary's character, he was playing the Varger, the werewolf guy. He was changed into a werewolf, and to open the cupboard, he just used his mouth to open it. So that little girl sees like a werewolf opening the cupboard door while she's terrified. So what does Gary do? He's like, well, maybe I need to change back into human form so she's not scared as much. But he changes back without his clothes on, so she sees a naked man in the kitchen.
When we started the social encounter, my first thought was to try and cover him up. And obviously I rolled, I think it was athletics, and I screwed that up, so I didn't even cover him up. I tried to put my hand away of his wiener so the girl wouldn't see it. The ending to the adventure was amazing, because what happened was we start fighting these monsters, and then everyone starts dying. And obviously in real life, if you were dying and something was killing you, you'd run off and go home. So that's exactly what my character did. Smooth. And I got away with it too. I was the only character left alive at the end, sipping a cup of tea, wondering where everyone else was. What a game.
Yeah. So for those who don't know what Accursed is, basically it's like typical fantasy, but there's still a black powder. And in Accursed, you play one of the monsters from the elite warriors from the witches. So Gary was playing a Vargur, which is kind of a werewolf. Harrison was playing a golem scholar. There was a Fedian, so serpent guy, and there was a mummy in there. Got to smoke some mummy weed with the little girl to try to.
I think it's safe to say that we weren't taking it as seriously as we probably should have, because there was a bit where there was a chase scene where somebody was legging it after this wolf thing, trying to see where it's going. And they smashed into a guy selling fantasy Windex and knocked his whole stall over. No, the Windex was just vinegar and water in a bottle.
Yeah. So I had a lot of fun, you guys. I mean, to me, a good game is when basically the players take over the game. The GM doesn't have to really work hard to make things happen. So it was a lot of fun. And like Harrison said, it almost ended it as a TPK. If it weren't for the fact that you flee the scene, I think it was everybody would have been dead. And in hindsight, I think, well, it was a tough encounter. There were like shadow mastiffs, and there was the big boss there, Orthus. He had this ability where he could phase into a wall or the ground and reappear behind someone, and then he'd make a stealth versus notice check, and if he won that check, then he would gain the drop. And a couple lucky rolls on my part, especially when you started being cocky and I started using my GM bennies, then that was it.
What happened was sometimes when you're rolling badly over and over again, I like to be like overly confident to see if that will bleed into the dice somehow. You know how superstitious gamers are. Yeah. And then I was like saying to Eric, I was just like, he comes up behind me, tries to get the drop, and I was like, easy, I can beat this. Got like a 2, and then Eric's like, right, let's do some damage. 35. I'm not happy with that. I'm going to Benny it. 57. I'm like, oh. This just isn't fair. I know now. I just not to open my mouth. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to, every time we play a game with you, Eric, I'm just going to talk about how great you are. And you can spend your bennies on someone else.
You got Matt Starked, dude. You got Matt Starked. I think that's the point at which you abandoned the entire party and just ran off by yourself and let us die.
Yeah, because put it this way. If something comes up behind me and it does it so fast I don't even notice it, then hits me for 3 wounds, I'm not going to stay and fight it. You'd be a moron to do that. So what I'm saying is everyone else in that game was stupid.
Bold words, man. Bold words.
I think
I'm joking. You're great.
Yeah, something else to that maybe you guys could have done better is that once the combat started in the church ruins, you all scattered instead of like sticking together and working together as a group. And that's when they started getting gang up bonuses on you, and your characters weren't really strong. I think they were novice characters, really like 0 advances, so it was difficult. No magic besides the mummy too, and she only had limited amount of magic there. I love their name, by the way, Mama Hotep. That was
pretty cool.
That was amazing. I don't know. We had a guy who was like part snake as well, and he was called like just a massive string of consonants with no vowels in, but it translated to Carl in our language.
And he sucked at every roll. He sucked horribly. Carl couldn't do anything.
I think
it
in
was so
one
bad.
chase, in that chase, he had like 2 critical failures alone there.
And he had a crit fail in the social encounter as well. We're all trying to coax this girl out of the cupboard, trying to figure out what she knows. We're all being nice. So I'm doing magic tricks. Somebody else is smoking weed for some reason. And then he just comes in. He's like, "Hey, little girl, have you ever thought about?" Oh, and then he just trips on a bottle of Windex, hits the deck, and then we immediately lose 2 successes. Man, we can't invite him back. He's
Right.
cursed.
Carl's out. Well, he's dead, so it doesn't matter.
All right, so yeah, that was fun. Maybe we'll get to play that setting again. I know it was the first time for me, and I think it's pretty fun setting.
Yeah, man. Thumbs
dig
up
it, man.
for
It's good.
Accursed. That was awesome.
So another game, I started a home game here. So yes, Gary, I do have friends where I can play face to face.
Really, I think you
But
just
wasn't one of them your son-in-law though,
No.
or something?
Yeah,
So
my
it's-
stepson.
You know what
right,
he did.
So he's. Go on. He said you have to play in my game or you're grounded. That's what it was.
It was his stepson and like 3 mirrors, and so Eric played the game master, and then he just looked in the mirror and said, "What are you going to do?" And then he talked to the mirror, and that's how he played the game.
Yeah, and then he'd go and sit on the other side of the table as well himself, put a hat on and go, "Eric, I'd like to do this, please." And then he'd go back behind the GM screen, run around and go, "Ah, great move, Eric."
Yeah, it was basically it. No, it was a few months ago. My stepson, which I've been playing on and off with him for like 15 years, but
How long
He
have
has a
you been playing with
girlfriend
him
now.
for?
15 years.
Gary, you're such a wrong 'un, man. That... Okay, sorry. Carry on.
I don't get it.
No, don't worry about it. Gary's being filthy. Surprising.
Playing RPGs, Gary. All right. Anyway, so he got in touch with me and he's like, could you run something for my girlfriend and I? And I'm like, sure. But at that time I was still busy with Wise Guys. So we finally got to it. It's from Codex Infernus. I found something there for a campaign. They picked characters from Richard Woolcock's fantasy archetypes. So Drew picked the rogue, and Brittany picked the ranger. And I finally got to use my ultimate dungeon terrain. For those of you who don't know what this is basically you use a Lazy Susan, and you put terrain on top of it. So I had one for kind of a rocky terrain and one with a swamp. And then because you can spin it, then it's easier for the players to see what's going on. They can just spin it and get the right angle for what they need, which was really cool. But there was one encounter in particular. There was the final encounter. So they have to basically their land, their realm is overrun by the defiled, which are demons. So they are sent to the swamp to make contact with the trolls to make an alliance with them. Now in Codex Infernus, there's 2 types of trolls. There's the feral one that everybody knows about. I mean, they're not really friendly and they'll just kill you. But then you have the more wise trolls that grow old and really huge. And the difference between them is that when they reach puberty, some of them, their mind snaps and then they become feral, but the other ones become wise. So they have to get in touch with the wise ones. So they're in the swamp. And while Brittany, just that everybody knows, that was the first time ever playing RPGs, the tabletop kinds. She's been playing Skyrim and other type of computer or console RPGs, but she never played tabletop. So I let them figure out how they want to make contact with those trolls, how they want to find them. So she's a ranger, so she goes to forage and she brings back an alligator she scored a raise on her survival roll, so she has enough food for both of them plus to bait the troll. So their plan is to bait the troll, and then Drew wants to build a trap to trap the troll, but the trap is about just tall enough for a child's size, so that didn't really work out. But so they find the troll under the bridge, of course, and she thought about it, which was great. She was a natural with this, so she's kind of treading through the water and using the alligator as a cover, as a costume in the water towards the troll. And Drew knows that this is gonna go wrong, so he's sneaking. He's using stealth to sneak around the troll, the bridge on the other side. So she gets close enough to the troll where she's trying to be friendly, so I ask for a persuasion roll. She succeeds at that, so I say, well, he's not sure what's going on, so he's not attacking yet. So she said, okay, well, then I will chop a bit of the alligator and send it over to the troll. So I'm like, okay, back off a little bit. So you're trying to be friendly and nice, but all of a sudden you draw your sword to chop a bit off of it. So the troll, as soon as she draws her sword, the troll freaks out and just launches at her with her spiked club. And I hit her with 2 wounds, but she soaks them, but she ends up underwater with the alligator on top of her. Drew, the rogue, snuck up to the troll. He gets a drop, shoots with his bow, kills it outright. But I mean, they laugh so hard at just the stupid plans that they come up with. And yeah,
I was going to say, it sounds like the plan that she came up with, that sounds like the type of stuff that like veteran RPG players do. Like that stupid crap that you always see players pull.
Exactly. They were looking at each other like, what the hell are we doing? You know, we're trying to be friendly.
It's funny, you said that like you gave them the option of how they wanted to get in contact with the troll, right? And I thought you were going to say she comes back with an alligator. She rolled so high on her persuasion, he's managed to show her where it is, and now they're the best of friends. I was like, but no, it was obviously quite different. But yeah, that was awesome story. And so, Codex Infernus, did you play? Because I noticed you used the fantasy archetypes from Richard Woolcock. Did you use the seasoned or novice?
I used seasoned because there's only 2 of them. I figured, they needed the extra oomph in there in case they got injured and stuff. She did, but she got her soak roll, and I mean, she was a natural. I was a bit nervous at first because, I mean, I've been introduced players to Savage Worlds before. That's nothing new to me, but to actual RPGs, I don't do that very often. So I basically just told her, I said, I'm going to describe a situation to you, whether with words or I'm going to use that terrain there to explain what you see, and then you just tell me how you want to interact with it. And then I explain the die rolls, the die type. You look at your skill or your attribute, and you add a wild die. And I mean, by the end of the game, she knew how that worked, and the damage rolls, how they're different, and she took some notes. So went really well. I'm pleased.
I'm proud of you, Eric.
Me too, buddy.
You're a good guy.
It's fantastic.
Thank you.
Well done. Sometimes it's hard to play with girls. I get nervous too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's because she was female, but just that the fact that she was brand new to RPGs. It's like I've been doing this for so long that I take so many things for granted, and then when you go to play it, sometimes I just go straight to really advanced stuff and don't think that people wouldn't really know, So you have to backtrack quite a bit and keep it really basics. But I mean, I ran them through a quick encounter, dramatic task, a combat, and a second combat. So yeah, all that in like 3 hours using my new SWAT A box there, the essentials, and got to laminate those little bookmarks finally, and those cheat sheets so they don't get damaged or ripped or whatever. So
did you laminate yours, Harrison?
No, not yet. I only just thought of that when Eric mentioned it just then.
I had heard somebody say something about it. I think it might have been Matthew Jones. I think he might have laminated his.
I did the combat tokens. I got them the little coin cases. That's what I did. I haven't laminated anything.
Oh, you got those? Yeah.
Yeah. They're awesome, man.
What size are they? Because I'm sure people are going to be listening to this and want to know.
25
millimeters.
Oh, nice. Okay, and then so it's how thick is it?
I was going to say I'll show you, but this is a podcast. It's about the thickness of a pound coin.
Oh, that's not bad at all then. So it's just like a nice solid case, and then you split it in half, put the token in, piece it back together. What did it cost you?
It came with a box, and it came with like 40 cases, which is amazing. So it comes with a little box, and they're all in a line, easy to get out.
Wow, nice.
More than enough.
Yeah, nice. That's not bad
because all right. Well, let's move on to a bit of news.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the news. The news is incoming. Prepare yourself for the news. News! And some announcements about the Nerds International Network and the Wild Die podcast.
Okay, first bit of news. Wise Guys is out in print, eh?
Huh?
You having that one?
Right.
Got it yesterday.
Well, how did you get yours?
Because I know people, Gary. I've got connections, man.
Did you order yours too, Gary?
I did, yeah. I think it actually might have shown up, but because I picked mine up in the States at the parcel pickup place, I got a thing that showed up today that said, we might have a parcel for you. That doesn't help me out. So now I have to phone them, go back and forth with them. It's probably got my name on it. This is the third or fourth time this parcel place has done this. Like, it'll say my name on it, but they're like, because it doesn't have the number, they won't attach it to me. It's like, come on, guys, you're killing me. So I might have.
No, but I mean, there are two printers for Drive-Thru RPG. There's one in the US and then one in the UK. And I mean, it seems like it's a lot faster in the UK. Maybe because it's a smaller island, smaller region, but.
Well, you think that, but then English people drive terribly, so usually stuff doesn't arrive on time. The place that prints these happens to be like just only an hour's drive for me, so I always get stuff really quickly, which is amazing.
Did it
so
show
I
up?
just want to say a big shout out to printing companies. Go on. Sorry.
Nice. Did it show up with fish and chips grease on it?
Yes.
Crisps? No, crisps and potato chip? I always forget.
Only with socks.
Fish and chips.
Pink socks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I took a picture for the Facebook group there, and I was going to put, thank God my new socks arrived, and just leave it at that because my feet were in the picture. But yeah, I did obviously mention the game. It looks amazing, by the way. The book is such high quality. The writer's a bit of an arse, though, but it's great.
Yeah, that guy's a jackass, no doubt.
All right. If you're into streaming and you know this small group of gamers called Critical Role, they've been streaming this new mini series for Deadlands called Undead Wood. I got to watch a little bit of it. Production value is amazing. They're all in costume. They've got terrain in there in the middle. So yeah, if you're curious about that, a Critical Role playing Deadlands, check it out.
Now, is it really Deadlands? Because it is called Undead Wood, is it not?
Yeah, I mean, they're using Deadlands. The thing is, I mean, I don't know if it's because they have an advanced copy of the new rules for Suede with Deadlands, or they're just doing their own thing. But yeah, word of caution. I'm not sure if they're following the rules all that well, but it's still in the Deadlands universe. they're all hucksters in there, and they're dealing with the devil when they're casting spells. So yeah, cool stuff.
I haven't actually sat down to watch it. I'm a little worried that they're going to do things outside of the confines of the rule structure. Not that I'm a stickler for rules, but sometimes, you got to follow certain rules in order to, or there's really just sit down and tell a story. What's the point in rolling dice? And I've heard some negative things about it. So, but
yeah, apparently they what I heard was that they said that extras their dice don't ace, and I'm like, where on earth did you get that from? That is weird. It's genuinely weird. Well, I haven't watched it, but if it's anything like their D&D stuff, it's probably crap anyway.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really watch that stuff, but I understand that there's a difference between, playing an RPG and then what they're doing, which is more an entertainment. So if you look at it as entertainment, as a show, like a TV show, whatever, might be easier to digest. I don't know.
Interesting. I got to check it out this week. I've been meaning to get around to it. What else you got for us in the news?
Yeah, speaking of streamers, so Saving Throw, the Wild Cards, I mean, they've been doing their show, the Deadlands show, and now for a couple seasons they've been doing ETU, but they started this new series called Savage 60 Seconds, in which they explain bits of the rules, the Savage rules, and small format of 60 seconds. So those videos on YouTube. The first one is on the Wild Die. So cool stuff. I mean, if you're joining us because you started with Undead Wood and you discovering this show, check out the Saving Throw Wild Cards. I'll have a link in the show notes too, but if you just Google that or search in YouTube, you'll be
That's actually quite a good point, because I reckon cut out the bit where I said it was crap, and then I'll just say this. I don't know why I've only just realised it, but Critical Role is my favourite thing that I've ever watched. So you can quote me on that.
Okay. If you decide to go look up Savage 60 Seconds, make sure you don't click on the Pornhub link. That's my site.
You guys are terrible. All right. Last bit of news. Last episode, we talked about one show, Savage GM podcast, with the final curtain. But now we've got a new Savage Rules podcast from Ron Blessing and his wife Veronica, and also I can't think of the name right now, Tracy Sizemore. It's called Savage Interludes. So they had their first episode come out last week. So if you're looking for more Savage Rules content with podcasts, check him out. Ron Blessing was the first was the co-host of the first ever Savage Rules podcast called Smiling Jack's Bar and Grill, which was a great show years ago. So now he's back. So if you're getting tired of us and our shenanigans and our crude humor, you can check him out.
Did Ron Blessing and Christian Serrano also do Savage Bloggers Network, that little 30-minute bit? That was them too.
Yeah, that was for like less than a year, something like that. Yeah,
still counts.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt that these guys have done a lot for the community, and their podcast is probably awesome. But what you have to remember is that despite all of that, I'm going to crush them. I'm going to crush them slowly and bitterly for daring to come up against us. Because as you know, the podcast game, man, it's like we run this racket.
Right, and we got
there's like an underground wrestling tournament there with the podcasters.
We have the creator of Wise Guys, right? So like we got the thugs going on down at this end of the world.
There's nobody in the Savage Worlds community that knows more about crime than Eric, and that's just a fact.
Yeah, exactly.
If they suddenly end up in a river, rolled up in a carpet, then you know. Right.
It's good that Ron Blessing is back, but I'd like to know how come we have the Savage 60 Seconds and the Savage Interludes, both of which sound like the names of porn movies. I don't know what's going on.
Do they?
Yeah, the Savage Interludes, that sounds like sexy time with my wife.
Maybe the 60 seconds, but not interludes.
Oh, you're so mean to me, dude. Again, it's nice to have Ron Blessing back. Fix your audio, Ron. Come on, throw up, buddy. What's going on there? You sound like you're in the middle of an airport hangar. What about Dustin Smith? He's got a new show coming on there too. We didn't put it in here, did we?
That's right, Star City Savages.
Mm-hmm.
He had the Thompson guy from man, I can't think of the name. Gods and Masters that we had on the show, that we talked about on the show, and yeah, he had an actual play.
I wish I had your superpowers, because every time I can't think of the name, I just say whatchamacallit, but you just say, I can't think of the name, and then say the name. That's pretty good, man.
I reckon Eric can find his keys like that.
Right. I lost my keys. Never mind, I know where they are.
That's how I fixed that. All right, so that's it for the news. Excuse me. Let's take it to the edge.
Watch out, Ron.
Take it to the edge.
Could you hear me?
Yeah. What are you doing? Was that your mating call?
Yeah. So with the World Builders segment, before we start this off and kick it all off, I want to just make a quick explanation as to my performance in the last episode.
You were on drugs.
I just got back from, I was only a bit, but I just got back from a convention, and I felt absolutely horrible. And it turns out I was actually quite ill because I was in bed for the next few days. And so when I was asking questions about shoes and it was complete rubbish, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. But I'm going to redeem myself this episode. I promise you that.
Yeah, we'll see.
Uh-huh.
Well, we had 2 weeks to talk about it, and we did talk about it a little bit. Turns out that I think we went overboard a little bit with the bumbling idiots inspiration. It seems like every little bit of facts of world building part had this inspiration in it. So we're going to rein it in a little bit, subdue it, and you'll find out how we came up with it. Basically, I think so. A bunch of scientists and their support crew went out in space to the planet Marmon to investigate the possibility that there are secrets there, supernatural secrets of some kind. But during the travel, the scientists, which were in stasis, happened to die. So to replace them, you got the support team, which aren't suited for anything scientific. So basically, the bumbling idiot part is going to come from the fact that people that were part of the support team are now going to be thrusted into a role that is more scientific. So this is where the comedy part of it is going to be, because we did establish that there was some type of lottery there where a protocol was set in place to determine who was going to take which role. So you can end up with a custodian that now is going to be the historian as part of this team. So yeah, we still want the bubbling idiot part being part of the setting, but we don't want it to take over the whole thing where it's not cohesive anymore. So yeah, we're going to change that. We also, I had to change a bit of the facts there, because some of our facts were actually sparks. The difference between facts and sparks, which is step 7 that we're going to get into now, is that facts are just that, facts, but sparks are actual problems. So I just changed the facts a little bit to that list, and we're gonna put our notes in the show notes so you guys can look at them. But the facts are: scientific community lost to stasis malfunction. Then the planet Marmon holds the secret to humanity's salvation. Then lottery, assigned profession from the support staff. Colonists worship slumbering elder gods. Krongasite is conducive to communication with the supernatural, and robots know what's best for humanity. So those are the facts that we're going to work with. We put a feeler out for you listeners to give us suggestions for a title, which was going to be blank Red Tape Sci-Fi. So we've got a couple, actually 3 suggestions, and
they're all rubbish. I said this last episode, didn't I? I predicted. I said that they were going to be crap, and they were. We should never get our listeners to do anything. They're all a bunch of. I'm not allowed to say that word anymore, but you know.
Wow!
But thanks to the 3 out of about 500 people that listened to that episode for submitting your title. So we're still gonna hold off on the title. It's not too late if you think you can win the crown there for the title. Send over your title, but we're gonna just move on to the Sparks instead.
Wow, man, we're not using Eric Goes to Frogtown.
No, we're not using that.
I like Gombo's Awakening. I think the worst thing about this setting so far is the names of stuff is so bad. Krongasite and Chombo.
They're horrible, man.
Gombo.
No, they're good. I like them. So Sparks.
I like them just for the wrong reasons. Anyway, sorry, carry on.
Yeah. Basically, let me check this out here. The Sparks are the political, social problems that people have to deal with in this setting. So when I said that some of our facts were actually Sparks, let me give you an example. Well, 2 examples. The Great Vendoid Uprising, which was a fact before, that's actually a problem that people would have to deal with. That this is a spark. Or when I said Gombo's Awakening, that was also actually a spark. So it can be a war, it can be a famine, a plague, whatever that causes problems with people, with the player characters. So we each get to pick 2 of them to complete this. Normally the GM doesn't take part of this, but because we need at least 6 to move forward with the other steps, I'm gonna get in there and suggest some as well. And the sparks are created from the facts. So you look at the list of facts, and from that you can create sparks, problems arising from this. So yeah, as I said, I'm gonna start with mine. It was already talked about in last episode, but it will be Gombo's Awakening. So at some point, Gombo is going to wake up from his slumber, and he's going to be really hungry and want to devour all those isolated settlements, those colonists. So it's going to be a big problem they're going to have to deal with. Who wants to go next with their...
Definitely not me. I'm actually nervous because I did so last episode, and I've just sworn. There we go. See? Already bad. Gary.
And you said you were going to do awesome. So we're choosing sparks from the list of established facts?
Yes.
I know that's what you said, but this sort of is like I don't know why I find this to be sort of weird and confusing, because it's like maybe because we've already decided these are facts and we're just moving them from that spot to a different spot. So before we started talking about this, I put in Krongosite mutates the local beasts, infecting their minds with a rabies-like disease, thinking that it would be cool that anytime we go to sort of collect Krongosite, that the animals would be mutated in some way. Maybe you got an elephant with 3 tusks, or maybe it's got like a rhinoceros's thing on its head kind of a thing. But if we're just pulling them from the established facts.
See, that to me sounds more like a fact than a spark.
Okay.
Additionally, I don't know if it really works, because a lot of the stuff you're going to be seeing, like the animals and stuff, because it's a sci-fi thing, you'd probably be discovering them for the first time anyway. So you wouldn't really know that if it's mutated or not until much later.
I mean, you could add it onto the list of facts if you wanted to.
Okay, so...
But remember when we talked about a meteor crashing onto Marmon? That would be a spark.
Okay. So then if I have to choose from the list of established facts, I'm going to go with robots know what's best for humanity.
Yeah, but which spark are you going to create with that? Like the Great Vendoid Uprising would be a spark from this fact.
Okay. I'm just confused.
All right, let me do one.
Look at the facts and think of a problem that might arise from these facts.
Okay. Scientific community lost to stasis malfunction. That is one of the established facts. Now, a problem that would arise from that would be, let's say we're running out of supplies.
There you go. That's a spark. Scarcity, maybe.
Scarcity is what you mean?
Yeah. Okay, I got one. The lottery that assigned professions from the short support staff. The leader is really evil in some way. I was going to say racist originally, but I'm thinking he's a maniac. He's a maniac killer, and he kills people for the slightest transgression. For example, somebody litters, and he'll have them hung. He's gone mad with power. No. Okay, that silence tells me a lot, I think.
Judging by the crook in Eric's neck, I'd say so.
Screw you, I'm putting it in there.
You have to think of the wording that you use. The way you worded that is a fact.
No, but it's also a problem. You said the sparks are problems that arise from it. So the lottery was assigned.
Action. It should be an action. Think of actions.
Yeah, I know what action is. I'm just saying, like, the guy but it is an action. Something happened. The AI assigned him as the leader, and now he's going around.
You just said he's a madman. Now,
yeah,
if you word it as a political coup,
you're saying that the leader is a madman. But what are the ramifications of him being a madman? The ramifications.
I already bloody well said this.
Nope.
It is that shut up. He's a psychopath, right? And he abuses his power. So he will hand down really harsh sentences for things. And so when you're in the main base there, trying to do anything, trying to get anything, it's difficult because he's a terrible, terrible man.
So call it the Great Inquisition or something like that.
There we go. We'll do that.
Now this is the Vendoid guy, right? That he's on the opposing sort of team.
Basically, the way I looked at it is that when the scientists died, there was a protocol there for Plan B, and Plan B was handled by an AI aboard the ship, and that AI came up with the whole lottery to give people roles. So it could be that the AI is on a Great Inquisition.
So yeah, so not the Vendoid uprising, but the AI that controls our ship is the one that is turned into like a megalomaniac kind of a thing.
Well, I was going to put I originally called it the Great Timquisition, and the guy's name was Tim. But yeah, okay, it's the AI then. But I mean, you got to have some puns in there somewhere.
Do we?
I think that's a pretty good one, but that's fine.
So that
I mean.
AI leader guy the computer's name is Tim.
Yes, it stands for. Give me a minute.
Okay, well,
you guys talk amongst yourselves.
I'll give you a minute, and here is my question: how many bits is Tim? Is he 8-bit? Is he 32-bit? He's 8-bit. So he's Tim 8-bit. Tim bits. You don't even know what a Tim bit is, do you? It's a Tim Horton donut, just the donut hole. He's a Tim bits. Eric got the joke because he knows what Tim Hortons Timbits are.
Oh, that's so bad.
It stands for Thermonuclear Information Machine. That's what Tim is. His name's Tim.
I hate this so much. I just want to say.
So do I. Sorry. Let's forget all of that. I don't think I should contribute to this at all.
All right.
I thought that was a pretty good one, but there you go.
Yeah, I'll go with my second spark. The first one was Gombo's Awakening. So the second one, I think I'm going to go with something about the Krongasite. I'm just going to say shortage of Krongasite. That's going to be my second spark.
See, at least I tried to sort of come up with something like really cool. I mean, that's easy, man. What about if there was a shortage of dwarves? I don't even know what that means.
Because they're short? Is that a short joke for the dwarves? Nice.
It was, yes. It was.
Colonists.
Sorry to any dwarves listening.
Colonists worship slumbering elder gods. Now, the colonists are like this human race or a race that is on the planet that we crashed into?
Yeah.
They're the people that... Yeah. I thought they were the people that did crash there.
So they would be the natives then, right? The natives worship slumbering elder gods?
Well, the colonists, there were no natives there. The only people on Marmon are the colonists that settled there in the isolated settlements.
So now we're a couple hundred years in the future, past when they landed?
Why not?
Or just a year or two. It wouldn't take long, really, for people to adapt. Right?
Okay, fantastic. Well, that throws a wrench into my gear because I was just assuming that they were like natives on this planet, and I was going to say that because they worship slumbering elder gods, they have an aversion to technologically advanced stuff. So if you come at them for help with like your gear and stuff, but see, now that just gets thrown out the window because the colonists are us.
Well, you could add that onto it, but again, that is a fact.
Yeah, I got you.
It's not a spark.
This is just as difficult as last time. And I actually think the content that we've come out with so far is worse, especially my one.
How about, okay, so the lottery AI assigned professions from the support staff. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but they have recently figured out that certain algorithms are actually biased. They have an inherent bias either programmed into them accidentally by the programmer or just because of the way statistics work and the amount of information for certain racial profiled groups, certain AIs or things that would determine the outcome of a situation are innately biased for some reason. And I'm going to throw that in as part of the problem, that whoever assigned or built the algorithms for the AI, the AI is messed up in some way, so it doesn't always get it right. And
so how about
the problem
AI glitch?
Yes.
AI glitch.
Sometimes you get a guy that's not really built for the job doing the job that he's not supposed to do because the AI like messed up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that
well,
also
that's
fits
exactly
with
what I was
the,
trying to say earlier, but you guys shot me down. I was trying to say that he assigned an idiot to the role of the leader for the colonists, but then for some reason now we've ended up with an AI called Tim going mad.
Timbits.
But that's, so the suggestion you've just given, Gary, was exactly what I was trying to say earlier, but that's fine. Timbits.
Nice. Claiming that one for my own. Thanks.
No worries. You can have that.
Oh, are you writing it under your deal?
No, I was just adding the name Timbits to my one.
That would be
Other than listeners can see this.
AI glitch, which is one of the sparks. So we got a total of 6 sparks. Gary has a scarcity of supplies and AI glitch. Harrison has the Great Vendoid Uprising and the Great Timquisition. Timbits. I have Gombo's Awakening and shortage of Krongasite.
Nice.
So that's it for the sparks. Now we're going to move on to the issues. So there are 3 issues. You've got the legacy issue. This one stretches from the past and still has some kind of hold onto your life. So it's part of character creation in some way. Then you have the current issue. So one of the sparks is going to be the legacy issue. One is going to be the current issue. This one's going to affect character creation even more. And then you have the impending issue, which is kind of a prophecy type of thing. It's about to happen. You know the ramification of what that might cause, what that might do. And these issues are picked by the GM. Now, I don't know if we're going to get to play this at all. It would be nice, but let's just pretend that I'm the GM here and I'm going to pick the issues. So the legacy issue would be, to me, I think the best one would be the Great Vendoid Uprising. So
hell yeah, that was my one.
I see this as the colonists crashed. The AI had to take over because the scientists were dead, so they weren't going to be in charge anymore. It's the AI, and of course, as we just said, there was some type of glitch, and they picked different people. But all those, the Vendoids are robots or androids that were used to serve or as support staff to the ship during the transport, during this trip. But as part of the glitch, they rebelled against the colonists and kind of took over the ship, which forced the colonists out to settle their own places, their own settlements, those isolated settlements. That was part of the inspiration. So that will be the legacy issue. The
Cool.
current issue for me would be I'll pick
Gombo.
the scarcity of supplies.
Damn it.
So during the crash, most of the supplies on the ship were lost. So part of what the colonists have to do is scavenge and find ways to get food and medical supplies and all that. So this is what is current right now. This is the issue that people are really concerned about for their survival. And the impending issue for me will be Gombo's Awakening. So as part of their research and exploration, of course, they found the Krongasite, and they've been trying to find what's going on with those elder gods. And they realize that there's one of those gods, Gombo, who's about to awaken and wipe them out. So they, on top of having to find the supplies to survive, they have to find a way to stop Gombo. So these are going to be the 3 issues for me. Let me type them right now.
You know what would be really cool? is I know this has nothing to do with this. I'm just saying, if we ever made this into a full book, which we totally should, Kickstarter coming soon. I was thinking that in a plot point campaign, right? Because Gombo's awakening is the impending issue. Wouldn't it be cool if right at the end, the Vendoids and the humans realized that they'd set their differences aside and had to fight Gombo together? But in addition to that, maybe then also all the Vendoids, they come together as one, like Voltron, and now they're a mech and all the humans have to pilot it. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
I got loads of these ideas, man. I could do this. I could do this all day.
Or we ride the Vendoids into battle.
I was thinking the exact same thing. Like a human, right? He's got like a bandana on, like Rambo. He's holding a spear and he's riding a vending machine with a bunch of chips in it, like old rotten chips.
All right. You know what? I'll be right back. I have to pee.
This again.
What's wrong with Eric?
Did you know Eric? When he goes for a piss, he goes with his headphones on, so he can hear us right now.
Oh, really? No, that guy.
Yeah.
His stupid ideas. I don't know how he talked us into this world building thing, man.
This is like genuinely embarrassing.
It's not easy.
It really isn't. I think we should just delete the episode. Why don't we just make the rest of the episode about 50 fathoms? That'd be good.
Right. And then now you're talking. Now we got a solid 30 to 45 minutes that we could put in here. Oddly enough, and it's really weird with the, even though it's sort of super hard, it is actually coming together quite well. I mean, I think we have like a solid story when you step back and don't look at the facts and just sort of tell it like it is. Like, we crashed on a planet. Most of the scientists died, so we're just the bum staff, the dummies, the janitors and stuff. The robots took over. They tried to kill us with the robot uprising, so we had to take off from the rocket that we were in or whatever, the settlement, and go start our own in the wilderness. So essentially, we're just a bunch of dumb janitors and like that.
Well, wait a second. I think it'd be really fun as well, because the legacy issue is the uprising, as you were saying. But the thing about it is that let's say that, because Eric said that's to be linked to character creation. Well, at character creation, you could have like a bunch of jobs, like janitor, window cleaner, salesman, like things like this, and then you have to get some sort of perk based on that, but also something bad. It's like an edge hindrance.
Mm-hmm. You're the window washer of the spaceship because they get dirty when they're flying through space. Somebody's got to go out there and clean them off.
There's
you get a bonus.
There's the Windex again.
What happens is you start, the perk is that you start with a bottle of Windex, which you can put any liquid into, obviously, which would be an awesome weapon. And in addition to this, you get a bonus to notice rolls when looking for dirt.
Wow, so useful. All right, step 9: create faces. So going from these 3 issues that I outlined, we're going to have to come up with 2 faces per issue. One is going to be a supporting face, and one is going to be an opposing face. So from both sides of the issue, there's going to be a struggle between 2 characters. And by character, I mean it can be just a single person, but it can also be an organization, a group of people, things like that. So let's take the legacy issue, for instance. You got the Great Vendoid Uprising. I'm going to start with the supporting face for this issue, which would be the AI named Tim.
Yeah.
So Tim is the boss of the Vendoids, really. And as we know, there's a glitch in there. So maybe Tim is a bit schizo, like he's got maybe a double personality. He can be really nice and kind of nurturing to humans, but in a kind of condescending way where it's like the whole Terminator thing where, the Skynet figured out that the best thing for humanity was to just wipe them out because we were just that bad, right? So
the supporting character on the legacy issue, does it have to be they have to oppose Tim in some way?
while the supporting is the one that's pro Great Vendoid Uprising, then there's a opposing character.
Oh,
It could
yeah,
be like
okay.
a rebel faction or something like that. So,
How about this? The opposing character is actually part of the Great Vendoid Uprising, or at least they were to begin with, and they've realized that they should just work together, and it's a calculator, talking calculator. No?
what do you think of that, Gary?
It'd be brilliant, man. He's like a rebel, talking calculator, and you go up to him, and he can only communicate in numbers. No, that's stupid. But I'm thinking someone on the inside, and it's a calculator, or a little device, like a little toaster, a little AI toaster.
When you look at it, it's 773. How does it go?
You're trying to do hello, aren't you?
No,
The easiest one. The easiest one is what is it? 58,008. You turn it upside down, it saes boobs. Hilarious.
Yeah, boobless.
Boobless is the classic.
That's all it says.
You don't have to pick the opposing faction of the same issue that I picked. You could pick another opposing of a current or the impending issue.
Well, I just thought of that one for that one because I thought it was a cool idea.
It's about as bad as the shoe idea.
That is bollocks. A man on the inside. It could really help the story. It'll be awesome. How is that terrible?
What's a freaking calculator's gonna do? You come up with a hammer and you just smash it.
I said to you, well, the good thing about a calculator is it's
what if it
inconspicuous,
runs out of
mate.
batteries? It runs out of batteries.
They're mostly solar powered. So suck my dick, Eric.
Wow, this is getting a little heated here.
Listen to me. I also said it doesn't have to be a calculator. It could be a toaster. So why don't you listen for once in your life, Eric?
Yeah.
How is a toaster better?
Right?
You put your hand in a toaster, man. I can burn you.
So anytime you ask this calculator a question, it has 3 responses: boobs, oil, or shell.
Yeah, and from that, given a very significant smarts roll, 3 raises, you could gather. Okay, look, the calculator thing was a joke, but I'm still adamant that there should be a rebel on the inside who's working closely with Tim. It doesn't have to be a calculator. I just like the idea of it being a calculator.
What about if it were like some type of companion or pleasure android instead?
See, now you're taking it into dirty areas. And I tell you what, Eric, I like it. I am stiff as a board. Yeah, fine,
great.
Fine,
So
whatever. It's a sex bot then.
The leader of the Rebel Alliance is the Suckomatic 3000. Like,
Yeah, it literally what it looks like, right? Is it looks like a pole with like a Hoover on the end of it.
no.
You guys are freaking retarded. When did I do that?
You're the one that suggested it. You. Sorry, my language just got really.
I didn't say it's Suckmaster 3000.
You said.
After this episode, so many people are going to go listen to Ron Blessing's podcast. Just be like, well, I'm done here. This is ridiculous.
Oh God, I'm dying.
All right. So somebody else come up with a face here, supporting or opposing.
I like Harrison's idea of having the leader of the opposing force also be an AI, but instead of working with Tim, maybe he was Tim's right hand man, and then Tim went off on his tangent of killing all the humans, and the other guy was like, well, wait a second, we could probably use these humans and they're not so bad. So he broke away from Tim and rushed the early settlers out before Tim could destroy them. So now, ironically, our leader of the rebels is an actual robot as well.
Okay. But what kind of robot?
A sex robot.
The whole time.
What was
It's the sex robot. It was your suggestion, Eric, and we're sticking with it. The whole time Gary was describing that thing, it's a great idea. But the whole time he's describing it, I was just imagining like a fleshlight on wheels, like a remote control car.
And you see,
the way it talks as well, it's got to be horrific.
right? And so its whole premise is that it needs to keep the humans around because who's gonna it, right?
God.
If the humans die, its very existence is pointless.
It's got no purpose.
Right?
Yeah, but
It has to protect the humans so that they can have sexy time.
All right, so it needs a name and some type of shape. And
Brenda.
please, no flashlight, Brenda. Okay, so Brenda and Tim. Okay, Brenda, the pleasure bot, and she's the opposing faction.
Christ almighty, that really tickled me. Oh God.
All right, so Gary and I came up with one each.
Gary built on my
let-
one. Screw you, that's mine. I'm taking that.
Well, we need to come up with 6 total because there are 3 legacy issues, and each
Oh, God, that one
needs a
took 20
supporting and opposing faction. Let's look at the current issue, the scarcity of supplies. You know what? I'll come up with my second one. The opposing faction is a guild of scavengers. Basically, they're the ones
I was going to say
that
the same thing.
are issuing rations to people. So they've got the monopoly on the economy. Really, they're basically a merchant faction. So I'm gonna call them the Scrounger Inc. That's what I'm gonna call them.
That's a good name.
And they are opposing the scarcity of supplies issue. Now we need a supporting faction of the scarcity of supply. Who would be against protecting these supplies? Really?
Don't we only have 2 choices? The
Yeah,
animals.
well, it's
do you
obviously going to be the.
The native animals. They're sentient now. They hate humans.
I don't get it. Or we can just pick the impending issue and find.
I've got one.
Another
I've got one
faction.
for the impending issue. I've actually got a good one for this. Right?
Oh wow, here
It
we
is
go.
a. Shut your fat, dirty mouth. All right.
Wow.
Right. So the impending issue. Who would be in support of Gombo's awakening? And I tell you who. It's the Gombolites, a clan of people that have started just getting some terrible.
A cult?
I thought that was a good one. Yeah, a cult. So some of the settlers they broke off on their own and they've started worshipping Gombo, giving him little treats, trying to wake him up, and they want the destruction of everything on the planet. Why? Because they're cultists and they're all also idiots.
All right, so the Gumbalites, a cult, support Gumbo's awakening.
Also, they're all calculators. No, that was a joke.
All
You're
right,
just kidding.
so
They're-
now,
They're actually toasters, right?
yeah, toasters.
Well, you know, the funny thing is that I suggested a calculator or a toaster, right, as a joke, I should point out. And then we've ended up with a fleshlight and wheels. So I think my suggestions are actually better.
No, we didn't. It's a pleasure bot, not a flashlight.
And
Why
she's
does it
good
need
at
to be so complicated?
she's good
It
at
looks
chess.
like a blow-up doll.
I don't. Oh God, Eric's doing a face like a blow-up doll.
and she's really
Okay,
good
then.
at chess.
All right, so we need 2 more faces there for the legacies. We need one to support the scarcity of supplies, and we need one to oppose Gombo's awakening. I've came up with 2 already, so you guys are on.
I've also done 2. I did the sex bot and I did the Gombolites.
So I guess
Gary, it's your turn,
Gary.
mate.
Ball's in my court, and I don't even have the slightest clue as to how this story is coming together. So who doesn't want Gombo to come to life? Well, obviously it would be the colonists because if Gombo comes to life, he's going to eat them. So does that mean there's a separate cult of non-Gombolite killing Gomboliters?
No, I think it could just be the
maybe it could be a council, the colonists council type of thing. You could call it whatever you want, or a mayor or a governor.
How about we call it Council Non-Grombo?
Despite the fact that the beast's name is Combo, but they call it Grombo for some reason. Council Non-Grombo. Oh, God.
It's like persona non grata.
That's what I was going for. But I called
the guys who set up the council are so stupid they misspelled the name on the sign and they just stuck with it.
Right? It's good enough. We don't have enough paint to correct it.
Oh, that's so retarded.
Oh my God.
Opposes. Oh my God. Opposes Gombo's awakening. And then we need a supporting faction for the scarcity of supplies.
A supporting okay, so a supporting faction, like a whole group of people? I'm going to say
or a face. It could be just one person too. I don't know.
Okay, and what do the Scroungers do again? The Scroungers are the ones that are basically they have all the marketing materials or sorry, like all the supplies and stuff.
Yeah, they're like the merchant, the guild. They're the one rationing the supplies and finding food and materials and all that.
How about the Scrounger Incorporated is the guild that is like the warehouse where you go. So it would be like the Walmart of Mongoloid Planet or whatever. And they're
Marmon.
That's right. Sorry. Marmon Planet.
I'm dying, man. I keep looking at the notes and seeing Council Non-Grombo written down. Oh, God.
And so Scrounger Incorporated is actually like Walmart. But there's people that go out and collect the supplies and bring them to Scrounger Incorporated. So those people are the people that are supporting it because, so Scrounger Incorporated is the warehouse and there's its own group of colonists that protect it. So it's a thing, it's a place, more or less. And then there's the second group of people that go out and gather all the materials and stuff and steal, and they're like bandits, I guess.
Okay, so the way you look at it is that Scrounger Inc. are the one responsible for the shortage, the scarcity of supplies, but then you've got another group that maybe deals these supplies on the side. Is that what you're saying? Because the way I looked at it is that Scrounger Inc. is the one making sure that people don't run out of supplies because they're opposing.
I kind of saw it the other way around. The way you explained it made it seem as if they were hoarding supplies. Yeah.
That's fine. We can do it like that. They're kind of maybe they're shady.
Yeah, like they're
Scrounger Inc.
They've got lots of stuff because things are being brought to them, but they only release so much. Like they ration everything a little too restrictively. Okay. There's that issue, and then there's a subgroup that brings them all the stuff, like a group of bandits, and we can call them the Bandito Non-Grombo. That's how it works.
Shut up, man. It sets me off. No, because you got to have somebody. You got to have somebody that's opposed to the scarcity, that wants the stuff to be given to the people. So it could be a person.
Yeah, and he's the leader of this group of bandits called the Grambits.
The Grambits.
Is the leader of the clan called Graham by any chance?
Graham Grambits?
Or Grambo. Grambo.
Grambo. He's a single individual with a minigun in the jungle.
It's like the futuristic Rambo.
Come on, he's got. See,
Grambo He has to be in there. We totally have to put Grambo in here.
Okay, so the current issue then is Scrounger Inc. and they're hoarding all the supplies, but there's one man who fights back against them. And his name is Grambo. This is the worst episode we've ever done. Oh, God.
Grambo, Prince of Thieves.
Oh man, we're gonna lose so many listeners after this episode comes out.
Oh, you're not wrong.
Okay.
So what does he do? He just steals from Scrounger Inc. and then gives these supplies to people. So he's like a folk hero type of guy, right?
Yeah, Grambo, and maybe we got Grombo Hood or Grobin Hood.
The names in this thing, they're so terrible.
It's a couple of dudes that steal from the rich and give to the poor.
All right, let's move on to step 10.
Let's just put a pin in it. Call her done. Create places. All right, here we go.
Yeah. So how we do this is that we use the 3 unused issues, sparks, to create a place.
Oh, Christ.
So the ones that we didn't use from the sparks are AI glitch, the Great Timquisition, and shortage of Krongasite. So we each get to create, let's see, how many places? 1 place. So I'm going to start with using the shortage of Krongasite to create an abandoned mine. And this is the site of the meteor crashing, which created a mine.
Very good.
So I know it's boring, but it's got potential. So necessary. So yeah, the places. I'm gonna call it the. I was gonna go with Crombo site.
The Krongo site is pretty good though.
Yeah. Krongo mines.
I'm gonna make one next. Hold on to your butts. So the Great Timquisition, that wasn't used before. So I'm going to make a location, and it's going to be where the Vendoid's main base, and it's going to be the Temple of Tim. And it's got his visage painted on the outside. They've made bricks and things like this, and they've made a big temple in his name. And there's a big fiery statue of him up the top, where he's holding a torch, and it's always lit.
And there's an unlimited supply.
What's it called?
The Temple of Tim.
Is there an unlimited supply of coffee and donuts there for the Vendoids?
Well, they vend them, so yeah.
Well, I already mentioned before that basically the Vendoids took over this crashed spaceship. So could it be that the Temple of Tim is a crashed spaceship?
Hell yeah, I forgot about that detail. So yeah, definitely. That'd be awesome.
All right. So we got 2 locations so far. What about you, Gary?
That just leaves me with AI glitch.
Could it be like a sort of virtual location, maybe?
A nightclub.
Sure. So the AI glitch. Let's see. The AI glitch. What was the AI glitch? That it wasn't always doing the right thing? Maybe like
right,
you said,
it's picking up wrong people for the jobs, basically, like some type of malware or virus that created that glitch.
Okay, I'm not sure where to go with this one, other than to say that because of the AI glitch and people getting the always being set up to go do the wrong jobs, You have a village of people that are maimed in some way, like they're missing an arm, or they only got one leg, and because when they were sent off to do their jobs, because of the AI glitch, they weren't really prepared to do them, and they got themselves injured. And so it's like a workers' compensation camp, like a village of people that are like have broken body parts and stuff.
I love it. That's pretty cool.
That's really awesome.
You just need a good name for it, and don't use Grumbo or Trumbo.
We're gonna call it workers' compensation.
What about you're an idiot? What about Crippleton?
Yeah, there you go.
Crippleton, yeah, I like that.
Sorry to any disabled listeners.
Worker.
These people aren't disabled; they've just been injured, man. Like
you said, they were missing arms.
Yeah, well, that doesn't. I guess that makes them disabled. No, I would. How dare you call them disabled?
So you go there and get a bunch of beggars, basically.
Yeah. But nobody cares about this place. Like the AI deems them, or the Vendoids deem them as a non-threat, so it's like a safe haven. Maybe that's what it is. It's like a secret safe haven city.
Safe haven. Yeah. I mean, it would make sense, because if the AI feels that these people aren't really useful to their cause, they just don't pay attention to it much. So that's where, yeah. That would make a good base of operation. So the way this works is that now step 10 is the last step. That's when the GM looks at everything and then builds a campaign out of that, because he's got places, he's got faces, he's got the issues, the legacy issues, and then people, the players create their characters. So we're gonna look at this and see how much interest there is from the community, from our listeners, to continue this. Step 3, the third episode of this, we're gonna each pick 2 rule. So it can be a setting rule, it could be a new hindrance, a new edge, a new skill, new equipment, piece of gear, whatever. What would we need to add to the Savage Worlds core rules to be able to play this? So again, even though we weren't really satisfied with the suggestions we got with the titles, we encourage you to send out your new bit of rule, your new edge, your new hindrance, maybe a bestiary. Maybe you want to stat out Gombo. Maybe, you want to create a hindrance for it, or a setting rule. You've got a good idea. Send that over to us. Next episode, we're going to pick the elements, the mechanical elements of this to make it a setting. And if there's enough interest, if you guys like it, maybe we'll consider running a short campaign with this. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. So far, we haven't received that much feedback, but we'll see after this episode if people like it. If not, we're just going to move on to something else and declare this a failed experiment.
You know what? I really, I know I'm a bit of an arse, but I really do hope people have enjoyed this. I had a blast doing this second part, man. It's been fun, but it is utter crap, this podcast. I think people are going to hate it.
I'm really looking forward to the adventure in which the sex robot champion for the people sends us on an adventure to go accumulate lube. We have to go find some kind of strange tree sap.
Oh no! Please.
Yeah,
don't.
so that's because she's a rebel, so she wants to use it to slip underneath his door and steal some important documents. It's nothing sexy, Eric. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't be so disgusting. What's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you? Why did you even suggest that?
Suggest what? Doing the whole world building or doing the sex bot thing?
Well, that and the sex bot thing. I think you're responsible for both. You must know. I mean, you must know. Like, you're the only smart one on this podcast. And when you asked us to do this, it was only ever going to be a disaster.
Yeah, I knew, but I knew it was going to be fun. And so far, yeah, I've had lots of fun doing this.
Been good fun, man.
But yeah, let's wrap this up.
My name's Harrison Hunt, and I do what I like. Right now, I ride a mother bike through the mall where I ain't supposed to do that. I'm from the podcast Tabletop Twats, and this is the wrap up, and it's gonna be sick. I'm right now, you can suck my dick, cause I don't give a what you think about my so suck my mother big fucking dick. Yeah! What I'm trying to say is it's the mother wrap up. Just like Mama used to make.
All right, Harrison, you're gonna go on a convention without us? What's going on?
You're more than welcome to join, but if you want to come to London to go to a convention for one day, then please do. But I'm going to be going to Dragon Meet. That's on the 30th of November. And I'm going to be running 2 very awesome games. No, 1. I'm running 1. And I'm running Tough Guys, the expansion to Wise Guys, the London expansion. Yeah, it's going to be unbelievably good. You get to play Hard Nuts, running a posh tea room. And my co-host on the 3T RPG podcast, listen now, subscribe, he is going to be running Whacked in the Wicket, a really, really fun adventure from Justin Sir Imagination. So, yeah, come along, play those games. It's going to be fun. We're also going to be doing some interviews with a couple of other podcasts, but, yeah, we'll save that. But, yeah, Dragon Meet, November 30th, London somewhere, which I can't remember.
What about you, Gary? You got anything to plug?
You know that I do. No. Check out my YouTube channel if you want to see some cool videos and some interesting things on what I do at Tabletop Simulator. I had a game today that was pretty sweet. Daryl ended up blowing up a bunch of people. Took this spell that backfired. He rolled a critical 1 or some fail and whatnot. And ended up taking out Jack the horse. Turned it into a smoldering pile of doom and 2 of his own players. So that was pretty funny. That's not going to be on there. But anyways, yeah.
But so Gary's YouTube channel, for those that don't know, is the Murder Hobo Show.
Yes.
Is it? Oh, yeah, it is. That's right. That's me also.
That's you. So, Harrison, if people want to send us some suggestions for the mechanics for this setting that we don't have a full name for, where do they send that information to?
They can send it to thewilddie@gmail.com. But if you've only got crap ideas, send them straight to the bin. And we're also on Facebook, MeWe, YouTube, all of that stuff. Just search the Wild Die Podcast. And we're on the Nerds International group on MeWe too. So if you want to mingle with us, come down, have a good time. If you want to suggest stuff, if you just want to be shouted at by an Englishman, and do that. And we're on Twitter too, at The Wild Die. And of course, if you like this show, God help you, you belong in a padded cell. But we got a Patreon. Search for us on there and donate $1 or $2.
All right, well, people, I hope you enjoyed this world building exercise. It was a bit wacky, but it was fun. It gives you an idea. Maybe your group, you and your players are a bit more serious than we are with this, and you can see the potential. Just check out Spark in Fate Core, which gives you the whole template and structure to do this exercise with. So yeah. See you in a bit.
Bye.
And this is Eric saying, I regret this.
This is Harrison saying, counsel non-grombo.
Oh, man. This is Gary saying, don't mambo with Grombo. Keep your pants on. Keep it fun. Thanks, everybody. We're out.
Oh, yeah. It's that time again. The part of the show where we spread a special kind of love on our patrons. This sexy jingle is based on the nameless world we built in this episode. Here we go. Brian Casa, Alan Bray, and Bubbles. This edition is full of terrible ideas. Let's get lubed up and continue the trend. Conrad, Erasmus Neubert, Corey Judd, and Dan Brown. Council non-grombo was a bad idea. How about we start the Council of some Greaso? Daryl Cartier, Frank Turfler, and Gildashad Lewinstrad. I'm really starting to regret doing these sexy Patreon jingles. Dongasat jokes only go so far. Jan Yetmar, Jan Schonheim, and John Peterson. How about that new Savage 60 Seconds? Let's play Savage 15 Seconds. 10 seconds of me getting undressed and 5 seconds of me crying and apologizing. Oh. Carl Kiesler, Kevin Stanley, and Manuel Sams. Maybe one day you'll get on Ron Blessing's podcast and have yourself a Savage interlude. Emphasis on lewd. Oh my. Mr. Stagg, Malguan, no butter on my popcorn, and Patrick Greenlaw. How about I dress up as Grambo and stab you in the forest? Not with a knife. Parachalmers, Pure Mongrel, and Ray Asteria. We played a Cursed and I was a werewolf. 'Cause I like doggy style. Sean Richards, Stephen Dragonspawn, and Sid the Squid. Let's head over to the Temple of Timbits. You can show me your donut holes. Rob Towell, Zovia RPG Maps, and Uncle J-Raz. Crippleton might be my new favorite place. I like it when they can't run away. Emmanuel Pabst, Matt Stock, and Andy Hall. Time to launch our new creation. I'll be Brenda the Pleasure Bot. And lastly, but never leastly, my new favorite, Emma Wakeland. Let's be members of the Scroungers Incorporated. You can scrounge in my shorts anytime. Thank you to all the Patreon members for allowing us to continue to do this show. We appreciate your patronage.